like to call the meeting to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Campbell? Present. Trustee Burt?
Present.
Trustee Favdala?
Present.
Treasurer Anderson?
Present.
Supervisor Miller?
Here.
Clerk Triplett here, and Clee.
He's absent. So I'm going to do a check on the microphones. You said you did earlier. Can you hear us in the back row? The sound's good for all of you? Okay, great. So are there any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda? I think so. Any corrections to the minutes of the regular meeting from June 20th, 2022? Any corrections? No? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those are approved. Approving the minutes from the special board meeting, June 29th, 2022. Any corrections?
Yes. It needs to state that it's a special meeting in the title of the minutes. I think it was omitted.
Alrighty. With that correction, and all those in favor of approving the minutes from the special meeting, June 29th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those will be approved with the correction. Action item 6, or number 6, I'm sorry, is public comment. If you'd like to address the board, I'd ask that you'd come to the podium and state your name. You don't have to give us your address, and you'll be given 4 minutes to address the board.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor. My name is Mary Hood, and I'm a candidate for Genesee County Circuit Court Judge. I'm going to keep it brief. This is my second visit. I believe I visited you back here months ago, back in January, to tell you a little bit about my story, why I'm running, and to basically just introduce myself to you. So here I am 2 weeks out from the election. I've been from one end of this county to the other. It's north, south, east, and west. And I'm sure that you've all heard about me by now. So I am going to keep it brief. I have provided you a copy of my most recent piece of literature. It does indicate my endorsements, judicial endorsements anyway. Some of the judges who have come aboard, Judge Barkey, Judge Godola, Judge Marsh, Judge Hammond, some of the judges who have endorsed my candidacy. As I indicated before, I'm a circuit court referee. I'm running for my boss's seat, in essence. Judge Beagle is my boss. He's been my boss for a very long time. Well, I started out appointed by Judge Ransom to serve as an attorney referee for Genesee County Circuit Court. So it was 20 years ago almost. When Judge Ransom aged out and retired, Judge Jewell became my supervisor. And then after Judge Jewell retired, now it's Judge Beagle. So, that being said, I've seen judges come and go over the years, quite a few of them. I have been a part of the family division of the circuit court where the new judge will be assigned longer than most of the judges who are currently sitting on the bench. So I'm seeking this seat because I know family law. I've been there, committed to the families. I've made the tough calls in the middle of the night. Should this child be removed? The prosecuting attorney's client calls, or, law enforcement throughout the county make a phone call to the on-call referee, which is me, every 5 weeks. Is this a situation where this child should be removed? I've made those tough calls in the middle of the night. I've presided over tens of thousands of family court proceedings, custody and divorces, and parenting time and child support. I've done much of the work of a circuit court judge in the family division. Judge Beagle has been out for a while. I go upstairs. I went upstairs 2 weeks in April, sat on his bench and heard his docket for 2 weeks. So it's just, everything is lined up. It's just the perfect fit. I would not run if I knew I would be assigned to another division of the court. I know the new judge will be assigned to the family division, and that's what I'm good at, and that's what I've been doing, and that's why I'm running. I want to continue to serve the families of this community. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Of course, the primary election is August 2nd. Many folks have already voted. but I would appreciate your support. Any questions?
Not at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the board? Come on to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Ann Christensen, and I'm here because I'm being harassed and targeted with excessive noise where I live. It's been going on for over a year now. I'm not getting any cooperation about getting anything done about it. The police have told me this is normal behavior where I live, and it's only normal if they choose to let it be. Intentional excessive noise is happening from all sides of my house. I'm 2 houses in from Fenton Road between Bristol and Maple. While regular traffic does not bother me, I know I'm being targeted because there's cars, loud trucks, motorcycles, mopeds, crotch rockets that are purposely peeling out behind and next to my house. They speed and race full throttle almost nightly at bedtime. Fenton Road sounds like a racetrack. This group or gang of people seem to want to own my peace and my quiet enjoyment. I'm thinking it's someone with some sort of vendetta that's trying to make me miserable, and it's a year and a half later and it's working. I've seriously tried to ignore it, thinking it would stop, but that isn't the case. It keeps getting worse because they are simply not being stopped. I've had many screenshots and have recently purchased a Ring doorbell recommended by Officer Chisholm. However, these don't capture the whole noise aspect of what I've been going through. Many of them stay out of the camera view when what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Fenton Road from Bristol to Maple is a big joke because it's the line between Burton and Flint Township, and neither wants to seem to patrol and change these problems. And I really want and need to know why not. This is causing me physical and mental trauma. I actually seem to have PTSD from this racket. It's a group or gang of friends, and I'm now fearing for mine and my son's safety. He's 10. I'm a single mom with no family in this area. I can't sit on my front porch. I can't work or play in the yard. I can't read. I can't sleep or even think straight. I've called 911 multiple times. I've put in 3 extra patrol requests that were ignored. I was told in January this year that that's what I get for living over here by Officer McWilliams. Flint Township is 23 square miles. I understand that. And there are staffing issues that even the police are probably dealing with, but it shouldn't give them a pass to completely ignore the ordinances that are being broken daily and every night. It never ends. Disturbing the peace is Ordinance 612-5. That's simple. It's an ordinance for a reason. If they would write tickets for accountability of some of these unplated, unregistered loud vehicles, motorbikes, usually when people face fines and civil infractions, they might just change their behavior. If there's no accountability, there's no incentive to change. That's just a proven fact. But no consequences, no change. Their new gig is a bass radio playing loudly every night, 50 minutes. Every 15 minutes that goes by, all night. Why do we have the ordinances? I don't get it. There are solutions. But the officers, the sergeants, and the one lieutenant I've spoken with, so obviously they don't believe me. I don't know what's going on there. But I've been doing this for a year and a half now, and I'm not getting any help. Some cooperation between the 2 police departments, Flint Township and Burton, would be a nice start on Fenton Road. Genesee County Sheriff is up and down there constantly.
Thank you, Mrs. Christensen. Your time's up. If I could stop this.
Why follow the law that's not being enforced?
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Go right ahead.
Yes, I live in Hunter's Ridge, and on Ridge Cliff, there are 3 really bad houses.
Can you please give us your name?
My name is Sandra Williams.
Thank you.
One particular house at 3365 Ridge Cliff, it is almost completely covered with a blue tarp. The roof is falling in, and it's just a lot of debris around the house. And I'm just wondering, couldn't the township do something about that particular house?
Yep.
That's it.
Thank you. Mrs. Williams, did you want to, if you wanted to give us the other two addresses, we can take that back to code enforcement tomorrow and look into those. You have them?
They have them.
They have them. Okay. We're all set. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Go right ahead.
Hello, and my name is Tim Freeman. I live in Hunter's Ridge as well. And the one house that she was talking about, I was going to mention, but there is one other one, and that's 3349 Ridge Cliff. That's been empty for 20 plus years, and it's just sitting. Hasn't become as bad as 3365 yet, but I've been in the neighborhood 22 years, and it was empty when I got there. The information that I found is someone owns it, and they pay their taxes, I understand, and any grass cutting fees or anything like that. But the house has been just sitting, and the garage door is at an angle, so it's almost sure to believe that animals are going and living in there. We don't know if the power is not on, so if the basement's filling up with water because there's no sump pump, but for more than 22 years. One more thing I'd like to address is we've had, in the last so many months, a lot of cars racing through the subdivision. We would like an increased police presence. I had noticed that the officers often sit at Court Street or on Ryan and watch the intersection at Court and Ryan. But now, and I have neighbors calling me because I kind of head our Hunters Ridge Neighborhood Association. So they call me in, hey, we need to do something about this. It's 25 miles an hour through there, but people are driving, and some of the neighbors are concerned that children are going to be hurt. And it's usually the Challengers and the Chargers, the cars that have the high output engines. And so that's pretty much it for right now. But thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Come up to the podium, please.
Good evening. My name is Cherie Tolbert, and I am also here to complain about the house on 3365 Ridge Cliff. The back of the house, the windows are all out, and the back of the garage has a door that is completely open, so I'm not sure if homeless people are coming through there. I live in the neighborhood as well, which is Hunters Ridge subdivision, and also probably about 3 weeks ago or maybe a month ago, somebody stole the air conditioner that was attached to the house in the back too. Definitely needs to have something done to the house because it's drawing the wrong attention, the wrong people. And I've been in this subdivision over 30 years, and it should not have to look like that. I don't have to live here if I don't want to, but I like the subdivision. It's 7 minutes from where I work, which is Hurley Medical Center. Been there 35 years, and I feel like this is a whole community because as my job at Hurley Hospital, we serve the whole community, and I feel like when you live in a community, you should be given respect, and we should have our properties taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
My name is Gerald Roberts. I live at 4487 Lindywood Drive, Swartz Creek, Michigan. I'm one of the three old fools that usually come up here and talk. That's what we're referred to, I guess, I hear from the township employees here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and for the republic for which it stands. To the republic for which it stands. We all just made that pledge, but does everyone in this room really know what it means? We just pledged to honor and defend our country with our allegiance. I am a veteran, and when I entered the Army National Guard, I made a similar pledge to honor and defend the country. I served for 6 years in the National Guard. My units were activated for duty on 3 occasions, for 2 tornadoes and 1 to quell a riot. I have first-hand knowledge of what it means to defend this country in a riot. I guess I can relate to the 574 riots that our police officers and National Guard personnel had to contend with for the past few years. But because of politics, police officers were injured, and I believe some lost their lives. Cities were burned, businesses were looted and lost. This was done by Antifa and Black Lives Matter groups, sponsored by billionaires like George Soros and the like. We have had a dual justice system now in this country, with little or no penalties for criminals and insurrectionists. The loot, burn, and murder. But let a mama bear go to a school board meeting and protest how her child is being taught, she is labeled a terrorist or a white supremacist by Eric Garland, our Attorney General. The next portion of this, one nation under God. Because abortion protests, the right to life in Catholic churches across the country have been vandalized and burned. These organizations are murdering the unborn babies up to 1 minute prior to birth. This is placing a needle in the baby's skull and sucking out the brain prior to delivery, to the death of the fetus. We are violating federal laws by violating Supreme Court Justices' home distances, yet no arrests are made by Eric Garland, our Attorney General. The last portion of this pledge of allegiance. Liberty and justice for all. Over 2 million illegal aliens have crossed our borders in this country. In June, 239,000 crossed the border, but no response from Washington. You people have a choice to honor your pledge for allegiance to this country by your vote. Have you ever wondered where all the trillions of dollars that are being spent in Washington come from? It comes from the sale of government securities. Who buys these securities? China does. And where do they buy their property? They buy that property in the United States in farmland.
Mr. Roberts, does your clock say 4 minutes? Mine does.
Pardon?
Does your clock say that you've been up there for 4 minutes? Mine does. Your time's up.
Oh, I'm 19 seconds over. I apologize.
Okay.
I hope everybody here heard what I said.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Neil Seaward. Heard a lot of discussion about public safety, police, and whatnot. Just wanted to remind everyone, this is the last meeting before the primary election, that there is a public safety renewal, not an increase, that is going to be on the ballot, or it is on the ballot. And I can't repeat enough, if you want to get good people and you want to keep good people in your community, if you want to attract good businesses and retain good businesses in your community, you have to have good public safety. I happen to know that we have excellent public safety, and it starts with the leadership, the police chief and the fire chief over at that table. So just asking once again, please remind your friends and neighbors to please vote yes, and let's retain the high level of confidence and competence that we have in public safety in Flint Township. Secondly, you held a special meeting, and it was unusual to see you in public not get along, because I know you're all really good people. You're not always going to all agree on everything, and that's understandable. But I've had an opportunity to speak individually with several of you, and all I can say is one township, one team. I think this is a thing that, had we had better communication across the board as far as a group coming in, what they were actually going to be doing, what they weren't going to be doing, what materials they were going to utilize as far as vehicles and whatnot, had that been communicated universally to everyone, then much of the problems we had in this previous meeting, the special meeting, could have been avoided. So you're all great people. You do a wonderful job leading this township. It was just a one-time exception, and again, you're a great team. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gene Leverett, I certainly thank God for being here again. I noticed Mr. Roberts talking about the Pledge of Allegiance. I believe in the Pledge of Allegiance, but I think we ought to start the meetings with prayer. That's what we need. We need prayer. But I certainly thank God for being here today. I too, as Mr. Seward said, I too think that you all do a great job. And I hope that we haven't been, due to the subject of the name change, I see that it made it to the survey, right? It ended awfully quick. But nevertheless, I hope you all have taken in consideration that we have other things besides getting into a name change that's going to cost us some money. So let's make sure that, I know you all have the decision, you understand what I'm saying, to make. And I'm praying God that you all make the right decision because, like I say, we have other things to do besides trying to invest the money into a name change. That's been tried many years ago. But I think that what we need to be making the effort to do to better the township is to make sure that these businesses come up with the curb appeal that we need, make sure that we pay attention to, because that's a real poor image of a sign down there. And I'm hearing that that's going to change, I hope. But nevertheless, we need to make sure that we have this curb appeal so that everybody don't pass Flint Township and end up in Birmingham or down south of us, you know. So that's what we need to do, and we need to be looking at having an attraction here in Flint Township. I noticed that the information that the EDC have put out, I'm a member of the EDC, and we put that information out, Discover Flint Township. Let's come on up and do it. What we have to do. I thank God for Ms. Vert. Ms. Vert, I noticed she comes out to the meetings. I'm on the Zoning Appeals Board, and she comes out to the meetings and she sit and she watch and listen at all of the things that occur, all the cases that come up, and I think she's really after doing what you do. And I appreciate all of you. And I know all of you. And where's Mr. Clee? But nevertheless, we all need to take it in mind and keep it in mind that the name change ought not to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leverett. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Good evening. You guys haven't seen my smiling, happy-go-lucky face in a while. My name's Kevin Stiff. I own the dive shop on Corona Road, and I am a resident in this township. Dive shop's been here for 36 years. I've been a resident for 38. So, I just want to kind of remind, I normally do this once a year. You all were voted in as fiduciaries. Do you all know what that means? You were voted in because we thought that you would do the right thing. Actually, fiduciary. The person with the duty must act in a way that will benefit the principals. You guys are the fiduciaries, we are the principals. So, I wasn't going to say anything about the name change. I was going to just keep my mouth shut. But you're all looking at it as we're attacking Flint. We're not attacking Flint. It wasn't meant to be that way. The first time I came up here, if you looked in the records, the first time was we need our own identity. Last year, 2021, 67 deaths, murders in Detroit or in Flint. There was something said last meeting about one of the best places to live or retire. Well, I fact-checked that. We rank 131. Per capita income, this is inside the city of Flint, $17,638. That's $339 a week, or that person's making $8.47. I'm still not picking on Flint. That's their business. Genesee Valley is almost a ghost town. How do they pay their taxes? They pay them by rent. When's the last time anybody's gone? I bet you have, because you got called. But that's the only reason. I still don't understand it. There was mention of 8 or 9 different businesses or museums or art that got huge amounts of money for remodeling. How much did we get? What did the Mott Foundation do for us? We just fall in that same package. We're Flint. When, that's it. And, I know a lot of people don't like me. I was interviewed on the AP. I was also phone interviewed for in an Indianapolis radio station. I was also interviewed by a radio station in Texas. And then I was on 66. I got the most filthiest, dirtiest phone calls, and I'm sure some of you guys get them too, but only because I want to make the township, I want to make it viable. I want to see Genesee Valley full, because when people come to Genesee Valley, I got more of an opportunity for them to stop in my store. I don't want dive shops in Michigan to go out of business. 15 years ago, we had 50. Today, we have 12. And so it gives me every chance somebody teaches or somebody gets a certification for scuba diving. That's another chance for me to sell something. I get no business from Flint Township. I get no business from the city of Flint. And then, all right, I'm done.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Dave Huffman, and what I'm here to announce today. I haven't been up here in the past. I'm a candidate for Genesee County Commissioner in the 8th District. I appreciate your consideration for a vote in the August 2nd primary that's coming up. I know a lot of people personally on this township board. I've had the privilege of running with them for office. We have some elected officials that did run with me that I was proud to run with. Going from the supervisor to the treasurer to a trustee up here. I've run with you all, and you're good people. We didn't necessarily agree from time to time, and I've been the loyal opposition a couple of times. But I think there was one thing that we had in common. We were all for the betterment of Flint Township, and we all had, we wanted Flint Township to do well, and that's what drew us to public service in the first place. As far as a little background about myself, I was 35 years working in this area in the automotive business as a salesman, selling Chevrolets at Summerfield Chevrolets for about 15 years. And after that, I finished up my career selling Oldsmobiles at Victor George Oldsmobile for about 20 years. So combined, I had a lot of years serving Genesee County clients in their transportation needs with Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles. As far as besides running for political office, I've been an activist, and I volunteered in the township and served 10 years as a volunteer on our local road committee, which we still have in the township, and they do a great job with a half a millage that they have to appropriate road repairs for infrastructure that normally wouldn't be done in the township. And also, I'm presently serving on the Economic Development Corporation Board here in the township, and I find that is a very interesting board that keeps us all up on the updates of businesses coming and leaving the township. But when you sit on that board, you get a real good idea of what's going on in the township as far as business, what's coming and going, and it's a good thing to sit on, and I'm glad I sit on that board. You probably, I had an hour prepared speech tonight, but they told me I had to cut this down to 4 minutes, so I got to make this brief. Some of my concerns that I'm running for office are, number one, is wasteful spending leading to runaway inflation. And I've heard this voiced here with some of the problems we have with the county commissioners taking all our suburbs' money, 90% of it, and appropriating it for the city of Flint, and leaving places like Flint Township and Grand Blanc and some of our other suburbs who pay the most taxes sort of out on the limb. I'm also, and this is really touches a chord in Flint Township, I'm for election integrity. I want to have your vote and your neighbor's vote count, and that is one of the biggest issues that's even going up into the national election that's coming up here in the off-year elections. That is a very important thing. Without election integrity and having your vote and your neighbor's vote count, you have nothing. Also, and we've heard it versed in some of the comments here tonight, public safety is a priority for your health and your well-beings. Without good public safety, with our police and fire protection, and local level is very important, local government is very important, you have nothing but anarchy. So that is a number one concern of mine too, is public safety for your health and well-beings. And my last one, and folks, you've probably heard this over and over again, but I'm a big believer in it, holding officials, and I mean public officials, to the same standards that you and I are asked to live by. And with that, I'll wrap up my comments. I appreciate your consideration. I know a lot of you out here in the audience have become very good friends of mine and the people on the board. And it's been an honor to live out here in this township, and thanks for your consideration.
Thank you, Dave. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? We're going to move on. We're going to have our audit presentation. We have some gentlemen here from Plant Moran. We have Joe, is it Kozlowski? Kowalski, Garrett, and Christopher Gilbert. Garrett. Garrett, is your last name Gauthier? And our controller, Kevin McIntyre.
That's all right. Would you like me to start?
Oh, please.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for having us here. Just to state my name for the record again, I am Joe Kowalski, audit partner with Plant Moran, and I am the partner in charge of the audit for the audit of Flint Township. And with me today are Chris Gilbert, manager on the job, and then Garrett Gauthier, who is the in charge but recently promoted to manager on the engagement. And we spend a lot of time on the audit, so we've worked with a few of you, and I want to extend our appreciation to the professionalism that we received to the entire board, especially Supervisor Miller, Treasurer Anderson, and Clerk Triplett for your time that you spend with us during the audit. We're gathering a lot of information, and we appreciate the opportunity to spend that time with you. But the real biggest thank you I want to offer is to Kevin. And Kevin, thank you for everything, because I know how difficult it is to get through an audit, and you're well prepared and very responsive to our request. And so we truly appreciate that. We're going to spend just a few minutes. Chris is going to first walk you through our letter to you as a board that talks about the results of our audit and our opinion. And then Garrett will walk you through some highlights of the financial statements, and we'll be here to answer any questions that you have.
All right, thanks, Joe. Again, my name is Chris Gilbert. I was the manager on the audit, and I am going to go through the end of audit letter that Joe mentioned. It's the 11-page document addressed to those charged with governance. Before I go through this at a high level, I did want to touch on the financial statements, which Garrett's going to go through in a high level. We're not going to go through all 70 pages of that document. We've created a PowerPoint presentation, as we have in previous years, just to kind of high level walk through some of the summary information. So I did want to touch on the first 2 pages of the financial statements, though, that is titled the Independent Auditor's Report. Those are the only 2 pages in the document that are ours. And we are happy to report that we are issuing an unmodified opinion on the audit, which is a clean opinion in essence and the highest assurance level that we can give. And then just moving on to the end of audit letter, that 11-page document. So this is basically a follow-up to the pre-audit letter that we would have sent out to the board before the audit. And this letter is broken out into a few different sections, 3 different sections. So the first 2 include information that we're required to communicate to the board. And the last section is just any other recommendations that we have or any legislative and informational items that we think would be helpful for you to review. So we won't go through this entire letter, but there were a couple of items that we wanted to highlight in the letter. So starting on page 2 at the bottom. So with each audit, we have any areas of recommendations, like I mentioned, or any findings. And there were a few auditor proposed journal entries just that were identified during the course of the audit that just still needed to be posted. And these were basically related to the year-end accrual adjustments. So I think this is one of the most common things that we come across. And so with that, we just recommend that a review be performed of all accrual entries at year-end before finalizing. And then the other item is just with the bank reconciliations. So the monthly bank reconciliations for the cash accounts, those are being prepared consistently, and those just should be reviewed. Somebody should be preparing, and then another person should review. So we are aware that the BSNA software was a big implement this year, and it was new during the year. So there was a learning curve that was in getting multiple individuals up to speed on that. So in terms of how to perform those functions, so I know that played a big role into, that change played a big role into those hurdles. So, but there should be a second individual involved in reviewing, and we know the township is working towards that. The next couple of pages, real quick, 3 and 4, is just basically saying at a high level that we did not need to deviate from our planned audit approach in that letter that we would have sent out before the audit. And we had no significant difficulties in performing and completing our audit, and we had no disagreements with management or any other issues in carrying out the audit. So otherwise, we would have communicated that. And then the last section from page 5 on to the end, this is just good information, I think, for you to review. At a high level, as you have time, and obviously reach out to us if you have any questions. But it's really just good informational, legislative information. There's a lot of good information in there in terms of funding for the American Rescue Plan Act and different upcoming accounting pronouncement that the township will have to implement in the coming years. And one of which, GASB 87, for leases that will be working pretty close with Kevin over the next several months to make sure that's implemented next year. But there were no accounting pronouncements or new accounting standards implemented this year, so next year that would be the next biggest one. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Garrett to cover the financials at a high level, unless there's any other questions.
The chart of accounts that's required
Yes.
that we transition to, that's the deadline's end of the year. Is that correct?
That is correct. So for the so for the BSNA, I think BSNA should be helping out with that too. I don't know. I think they have a conversion template for that Kevin would be working with them on. So, but that is correct. So
Thanks.
yes. So I'm going to turn it over to Garrett. He's going to walk us high level through some the financial statements.
Hello, everyone. I believe you all have a copy of the PowerPoints. So as Chris mentioned, I'm just going to high level go over the major funds, sewer and water fund, and then touch on legacy costs. So if everyone wants to turn to the second slide. First, we're going to take a look at the general fund. And so we're going to start off with the general fund revenue. So by looking at the slides, you can see 2021 is in the far right column. And then there is a 5-year kind of look back for the analysis. So for 2021, you'll see total general fund revenue of $11,396,000. This was roughly an increase of $970,000 from last year, from 2020. And as you'll see, just like last year, the two largest sources of revenue continue to be property taxes of roughly $4 million and state shared revenue of roughly $3,500,000. State shared revenue increased roughly $327,000 from last year, so that was made up a good portion of the increase in total revenue. Property taxes increased roughly $220,000 from last year as well. Next, we'll shift to slide 3. And this is taking a look at general fund. Slide 3 is actually, again, looking at the 2021 general fund revenue just in a pie chart format. So again, this is just showing the two largest sources of revenue, which are property taxes and state shared revenue. So you can see that through the pie chart. Next, on slide 4, we'll kind of take a look at general fund expenditures. So again, a 5-year look back with 2021 in the far right column. You'll see total expenditures for 2021 was roughly $13 million, which was an increase of approximately $2 million from last year. The two largest sources of expenditures in 2021 were public safety at $5,800,000, and that was a decrease of roughly $200,000 from last year, so fairly consistent from 2020. The largest increase, and really what made up the increase in expenditures in 2021, was in the public works line. So under public works, you'll see in 2021 there were approximately $4,200,000 expenditures compared to $1,700,000 last year. Now, that increase is really from the road projects and special assessment projects that occurred in 2021. One caveat with that is the township almost took a hit in 2021 to incur the cost of the projects up front. But with the special assessments, those costs will be reimbursed through special assessment revenue throughout the future years. So that is the one caveat with kind of taking the hit in 2021 for those costs up front and then the reimbursement later for the special assessments.
Garrett, so just as those special assessments affected expenses, over here under revenue, you mentioned that there were two things that drove up revenue, federal and state sources and property taxes to the tune of, almost $550,000.
Yeah.
To get to 11.3 million, almost 11.4 million. We also received some funds on those special assessments. So those come in and go directly to roads. Those are restricted and we don't use those. So Okay.
Correct.
Thanks.
Yep.
I got a question. Sure. On this $4 million for the public works and the road, us upfronting that money, should we have looked at a different avenue to fund that? Or is that-
Again, that's more of a kind of a management decision, and you guys looking at the general fund in total and where you're at fund balance wise. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think it's unique to each township and their financial position.
But we did have you guys out to meet with Kevin on how to account for those, because that was a question with the previous controller and Kevin, and even Tracy involved. So I know that questions were asked.
Correct. Yeah. As far as the accounting for the special assessments, the accounting was correct and accounted for correctly. Yep. Yeah. Any other questions?
Revenue expenses.
All right, we go to slide 5. Again, this is just showing the 2021 expenditures that we looked at in the previous slide, and just kind of showing it in the pie chart format where you can see, again, public safety and public works were the two largest sources there. All right, if we turn to slide 6, after we've looked at revenue expenditures, now we're going to take a look at the ending fund balance. So what this slide is doing is it's a 4-year look back, and you'll see it shows annual revenue in blue and in green, annual expenditures in the orange, and then we have total fund balance in the blue and the unassigned portion in the yellow. So fund balance decreased from 4.1 million in 2020 to roughly 2,500,000 in 2021. And again, that was due to the increased public works and road project costs and special assessment costs. One thing we do want to take a look at and kind of point out is of the 2,500,000, approximately 600,000 is non-spendable and restricted, and then there's approximately 930,000 which is assigned for the 2022 budget. And so what that means is looking at the 2022 budget and the projections, it's expected that expenditures will exceed revenue by approximately 930,000, and that's the amount of fund balance that will be used next year. We point that out only because if you look at unassigned fund balance, it has decreased over the past 4 years. And again, 2021, there's a good portion due to the road projects, but we just, the township just keep that in mind, the unassigned fund balance as you're planning and coming up with the budgets in the future and looking at future projects. Any other questions before I move to the next fund? All right, next we'll go to slide 7. And now we're going to take a look, kind of a high-level view of the police and fire millage fund. And this slide is a 3-year look back, again showing annual revenue in the green, annual expenditures in the orange, and the ending fund balance in yellow. So you'll see total revenues of approximately $3,200,000, which was about a $150,000 increase from last year. So fairly consistent there. Total expenditures were approximately $3,600,000, and that was approximately a $400,000 increase from last year. And again, that was due to pension costs and increased pension costs over 2020. So ultimately, ending fund balance landed at $944,000 approximately, which again was a decrease of roughly $377,000 from last year. Next, we're going to shift over to the sewer and water fund. So overall, you'll see in the sewer and water fund, you'll see revenue in green, expenses in orange, unrestricted net position as that line across in yellow, and then the cash balance in blue. Overall, you'll see sewer and water fund has been very consistent year over year. Total revenues in 2021 were approximately $3,200,000. Which was about a $150,000 increase from last year, so very consistent. Total expenditures were approximately $3,600,000. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong. Revenue was approximately $14,866,000. expenditures were approximately $14,544,000. Both increased roughly $300,000 from last year, so again, very, very consistent year over year. Overall fund balance in the sewer and water fund increased from $12,174,000 to $12,517,000. One thing we want to point out is you'll see cash decreased even though fund balance increased. Really, so cash decreased from almost $9 million to $7,200,000. That decrease is really due to the advance that was made to the general fund for $2,500,000. And that advance was used to front the costs of the special assessments. So really just want to point that out so you can, as you can see, fund balance went up, cash went down, but mainly due to that advance. So. Any questions on sewer and water? All right. Next, we'll take a look at legacy costs. So as we all know, communities are continuing to struggle with funding legacy costs, and it's obviously a big topic out in local governments. We just want to point out the township continues to make efforts and make progress at reducing these liabilities, and they should continue to try and continue to make these efforts. The first of the legacy costs we're going to look at are the pension plans. So on slide 9, you'll see the MERS and the firefighters pension plan. We'll start with the MERS. So one thing I want to point out with the MERS is it is measured as of 12/31/2020. So these liabilities are kind of snapshots in time. So the MERS is on a year lag. So this net pension liability is reflective of the market as of the end of 2020. So you'll see the MERS total net pension liability was approximately $15,400,000, and that funded status was 61.3%, which was an increase of approximately 2% from last year. So continuing in the right direction. Next, we'll take a look at the firefighters pension plan, and that is measured as of 12/31/2021. So that's aligns with the fiscal year. The net pension liability for the firefighters was approximately $989,000, and that sits at 90%, almost 91% funded, and that's an increase of approximately 11% from 2020. So again, that's heading it's in a very good direction. So, any questions on pension before I shift to OPEB? All right. Lastly, we'll take a look at the OPEB plan. Again, the OPEB plan, that is measured as of 12/31/2021. And at the end of the year, the net OPEB liability was approximately $20,756,000. And the funded percentage was 4%. Again, the OPEB, the funded percentage is a little different than the pension as it's on a pay-as-you-go basis. So you're paying expenditures as they're being incurred. So that is why it's lower than the pension plans. But again, it's headed in the right direction. So, any questions on that?
So as we see more people elect the union members, different unions, as they elect to go into the retiree health savings plan, and they give up their retiree health care option, at some point this has to go down.
Agree, yes. I would assume the actuary, when, again, he's remeasuring every year or every 2 years, and he's taking into account the changes in the assumptions, the changes in the demographics. So I would agree, if more people are going for the savings plan, I would expect the liability to decrease. Well, I think that's the last slide. Again, I just want to thank everybody for all their help this year, and again, thank you to Kevin for all his help.
I know that was a lot of information too, but our contact information is on the last slide if anybody has any questions, so feel free to reach out to any of us. So, yeah.
Can I ask a question on our fund balance? As it's gonna at the end of the year, or at the end of last year, 21, it's projected to be $1 million if the 932 is assigned to next year's budget, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So as we're going to go into budgeting starting in August, when we look at how much is a good amount to have in our fund balance? Is that typically, what's the formula? Is it 3 months worth of our operating expenses?
It's a good question. I think a lot of it is case by case scenario. So I think the township could look into like a minimum fund balance policy. I think a good way to look at it is kind of what you're thinking of and looking at like, okay, what's the annual expenditures and then what's our unassigned fund balance, and that would kind of tell you real time how much you could pay off without any revenue coming in, how long you could go to pay your bills as they come due without incurring any revenue. But at the same time, I think in terms of what to have at a fund balance, I think it depends on your long-term capital plan with legacy costs, capital plans, and just kind of where you're at there. But it's hard because there is no one size fits all. It depends on your risk tolerance as well. So definitely a good discussion for management too. And we do forecasts as well, so that's another thing that I know we've talked about before, but it's another thing to consider as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect answer, and I just want to emphasize the one point, which is there's no one size fits all. And so it really depends on the circumstances of the township and your level of comfort for how much you need to have in that fund balance in comparison to your annual spend, which has so many factors, some of which Chris mentioned, but also contingencies. And so really across the country, I've audited a lot of different communities in different states even. It varies very widely. You'll see some communities that have 100% of their annual spend in their fund balance, and then you'll see others with 10 or 15% of their annual spend. And you really got to just find out, like, based on that budgetary process, what's right for you.
We'll come. Thank you. Was there anything else you had to say, Joe?
The only other thing is on the pensions. Garrett talked about the measurement dates, and the MERS plan is measured as of December 31st, 2020, and so next year the funding percentage will still be in a pretty good shape because as of December 31st, 2021, the market was still in a pretty good place. Now, where the market's going to be at as of the end of this calendar year is another question mark. And so when you're looking out 2 years from now, your funding percentage could change. Now, what I don't think will happen is that won't have like a sharp impact to the amount of contributions that the actuary says is required, because the actuary is smoothing those assets over a 5-year time frame specifically to avoid budgetary fluctuations in how much contributions you should make. But you will need to kind of pay attention to what's going to happen to our funding percentage for that plan.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions before we say goodbye?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we can move on to reports while they're gathering their items. Thank you again. And I also want to say thank you to Kevin McIntyre, our new controller. Not only did he assume the new position as controller as Beth Takis, who was here for 32 years, not all of them were as controller, but to take over a new position and bear that responsibility and then to transition into a new system. That was a lot of work, and you did a good job. And this went really well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Go ahead. As part of my report too, I know that the loans from the water department were discussed, and I just want to make sure everybody knows that those are on a repayment plan with interest. So not only will the entire exact amount be put back into the water funds, that's with interest. So I just want to let everybody know that that's a loan and not forever. And Mr. Leverett, you mentioned something about the name change, and you mentioned that we have a decision. I just wanted to let everyone know that according to the law that was passed, the decision is up to the residents. The businesses won't be able to vote unless they live here, like Mr. Stiff does. But yeah, the decision, I mean, we may or may not decide if we're going to put that on the ballot, that is a decision that the board will have. But as far as a name change, that's going to be a decision of our residents, just to make sure everybody knows that. So that's all I have in my report. Madam Clerk, do you have a report this evening?
Yes. For the clerk's department, of course, we have the election that's August the 2nd. And so far, we've sent out a little over 3,700 ballots. We've received almost 500 back. Also, for polling locations, because we did have some polling locations to change on our website, the polling locations are noted. Also, we'll be sending out the voter cards as well, so everybody should have probably received those already. So, yeah, we're doing a lot of things in the clerk's department to, like Mr. Huffman said, to make sure transparency for the residents, and we're working hard. I believe that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Treasurer, do you have a report this evening?
I'll just use this time to go over the Treasurer's investment report, the second quarterly investment report, which you should have received. This is as of June 30th, 2022. The grand total bank balances is $22,332,305.91. Grand total for our certificates of deposit, $2,424,130.19, for a grand total with the bank and CDs with interest to date is as of June 30th, $24,746,436.10.
And you want that in the record, of course.
Yes, I would like that recorded in the record for review by our auditors.
Great. Anything else, Madam Treasurer? No. We'll move on to trustees. Does any trustees have a report? Do any trustees? Go ahead.
I'd just like to say that the Planning Commission met last Thursday, and we did do a site review for the Chick-fil-A. And that was approved, and they're going to break ground in the spring. They're going to employ approximately about 100 employees. So I think there's a lot of people looking forward to them coming to our community. Just happy to have them.
That's good news.
Where's it going to be? It's on Miller Road. It will be the old Sonic.
Trustee Burt, anything?
No, not tonight.
This side? No? That would be you, Deb. Thank you. We'll move on to staff reports. Chief Salter, your report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Since our last board meeting on June 20th, your police department's responded to over 2,700 calls, which is about a 97 per day average. Including that number, you had 1 shooting, 11 shots fired to call, 181 domestics, 127 disorderlies, and 100 unknown trouble calls. This is some of the different types of calls we responded to. Also, during that time, we had over 600 traffic stops. We've been working a lot of OHSP, which is a grant through the state of Michigan and federal government. So we had a lot of traffic stops within the township in different jurisdictions. Come to this township, make traffic stops, go to different jurisdictions, make traffic stops. Also, we had 184 business checks and 104 residence checks. There was a homicide on July 5th in the 3000 block of Aurora Drive. One 18-year-old male was shot and killed, and his 15-year-old brother was shot in the shoulder. After numerous search warrants, arrests were made. Chris Grammatico, 19 years of age, was arrested and charged for the murder, and 2 other juveniles were also charged. We were assisted by the Genesee County Sheriff's Department, their office, and Michigan State Police. I want to say it's a great job of everyone involved in the investigation, and thanks for the help. We held a coffee with the cop at Bigby Coffee last week. Our community resource officer, Officer Chiza, planned a successful event. If you came during that time, you probably even had Sergeant Nemechek giving you coffee through the drive-through window. Our annual National Night Out is Wednesday, August 3rd at the Police Department from 4:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. We are teaming up with the Fire Department and our community for this event again. We've been hosting this for the last 15 years, so it's been an ongoing annual event that we hold. We'll be having free food cooked by our many volunteers, prize giveaways, canine demonstration, a Jaws of Life demonstration, and you might even get a chance to dunk either me or Chief Beckley in the dunk tank if you guys choose to, if we're there at the time. And I have one action item for the agenda.
Thank you. Chief Beckley, you have a report?
I do. Thank you. Since the last board meeting on June 20th, your fire department's responded to 103 incidents. Some stats from June of 2022. We responded to 129 calls total. Just want to kind of reflect back. June of 2021, we responded to 80 calls. So it's about a 59 call increase from June of 2021 to 2022. During June, we had six confirmed structure fires, 3 cooking fires, 4 car fires, 16 personal injury accidents that your firefighters responded along with the police department to assist with. 2 mutual aid assists to other departments, 3 vehicle entrapments, and 15 fire alarms. Those are just kind of a few of the calls we responded to. It's not an all-inclusive list, but just some of the major incidents that we responded to there. At the special meeting a couple weeks ago, I mentioned a structure fire at River Valley Apartments. 629 fire crews responded to a structure fire there. Fire was found in the building at a couple of different locations, and 2 residents had to be removed from balconies with ladders by firefighters. This fire was quickly brought under control. Smoke was removed from the building, and there were no injuries in this event. Many of you probably saw the press release that we posted on July the 11th. We had 3 structure fires this day. The first one we started at about 3 o'clock in the morning at KFC on Corona Road. This fire appears to have started in the kitchen area. The cause of this is still under investigation. This fire did damage the kitchen area significantly, with smoke and heat damage throughout that building, and we were assisted by Mount Morris and Swartz Creek on that call. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we responded to a fire in the 1200 block in North Ballinger at Captain Cody's. This fire crews again arrived to find heavy smoke and fire coming from the back area of the building, again in the kitchen. And on this fire, we were assisted by Flint City, Mount Morris Township, Flushing, and Swartz Creek. It was a very hot day. It was a lot of work that went into that. That building's been added on to several times. There was a lot of overhaul that had to occur to make sure that the fire was completely out. That's why we had so many departments there to help us out. Later on the 11th, we responded to a fire alarm at Carmen Ainsworth High School. Fire crews arrived on scene to find an activated alarm system with sprinkler heads going off, and also heavy smoke in one of the hallways. We upgraded this to a structure fire response, which brought more personnel to the scene to assist. We then ended up calling in neighboring departments to help us search the entire building after fire was found in a couple of spots. And after the initial investigation on this fire, we do believe that fire was intentionally set. The investigation is still ongoing, and more information will be forwarded on to the police department. I think Chief Salter had a couple of things he wanted to mention on that.
Yeah, just on that fire at Carmen, I know the suspect was arrested the next day, and the case is being presented to the Genesee County Prosecutor's Office for review, so we should go from there.
Thank you.
And to wrap up with my reports, your firefighters have completed pump testing and hose testing of all of our fire hose in the department for 2022. This is required to be done annually, where every inch of fire hose is taken off of every one of our trucks, and we have to pressure test it to make sure it's ready to go. That's a very labor-intensive process, and they just completed that last month also. And soon, a couple members of your fire department will be traveling to Sutphin Corporation to do the pre-construction meeting on our new fire truck. This is an important step to make sure that all the loose ends are all tied up, and that this truck is built just the way we want it and just what we paid for. This actually got bumped up a couple of months, which is a good sign as we move forward with production. So that's a good sign as we move forward with that. And that completes my report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Tucker?
Just a couple of things. Carol already mentioned Chick-fil-A, which we're grateful to have them coming. We also had Ron Lammy is working with, oh my gosh, the guy's name just went out of my head, but that doesn't matter. They're doing a project up on Pasadena of new storage.
Tracy, they're having a hard time hearing you. So
sorry,
yeah.
we turned that so his mic was working all right. We have Al Jory and Ron Lammy are working together, and they're doing some storage buildings up on Pasadena at I-75. We also had the Chick-fil-A, which Carol had brought up. Also, if you've noticed the new blue roof on the old VG's, that's a new retailer that's coming to town. They're called Gabe's, and they should be opening in the next month to 2 months. And I think that's about all I had. We do have the new zoning ordinance for final reading this evening. And you have an introduction of a cost recovery that's yours, but that's just an introduction, item B, so you don't have to take any action on that. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
I did have one more thing. I looked up that address. The lady had brought up the 3365 Ridgecliff, and that is in process. They've already issued notices of violation. So they're in the process just waiting to see if they respond within the given time, and then it'll be ticketed, I would assume.
Thank you. So we'll move on to number 9, payment of bills.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of invoices in the amount of $3,630,466.71 and to acknowledge distributions of tax payments in the amount of $367,606.96.
There's a motion, and can we have a second, please? We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to pay the bills in the amount of $3,630,446.71.
Yes. Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
And Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
And Trustee Favdal?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
And Clerk Triplett, yes.
All set?
Clea absent, yes.
Thank you. Action item number 10, correspondence and informational items. Sam's here from McKenna. We received a letter from McKenna requesting to have a meeting with the Township Board. And I know that the board has approved to give them a 30-day written notice of termination, but they're requesting a meeting. I'd like to meet with them, and I'd like to know if there's 2 other people who'd be interested in meeting with them. Hear what they have to say, if you read the letter. Anyone else?
I think we should meet, yes. They've requested it, and I think they're addressing a lot of the issues that came up at the special meeting.
Hi. Thank you for your time, honorable members of the board. I'll be very, very brief. In the correspondence section of the agenda packet, you'll find a letter from myself and the President McKenna. We would love the opportunity to sit down and discuss the concerns you have surrounding the operation of the non-owner occupied inspection program. Getting the township's program up and running will have an immeasurable positive impact on the lives of your constituents who need and deserve an ally with the authority to make sure the housing is safe. And the township, I believe, wants to be that ally. You've had the ordinance for over 10 years. And the way to be that ally is to have an efficient, well-run rental program. So we would very much like to be a partner in that. All your concerns were very reasonable and can be very readily addressed, given an open line of communication between ourselves and the township. So that's all I've had. I'm happy to answer questions, but I think maybe a longer form venue would probably be a better time to discuss details. But like I said, I'm happy to answer questions.
So I'll reach out and contact you, and if anyone else on this board would like to meet with you, they'll be at the meeting too. Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Move on to action items. Action item A is our debt elimination plan. Happen to have Controller McIntyre here. Did you want to tell the board anything on that?
No, there's not really much to tell. It was put in place last year when we went negative because of the first road plan. And that's sort of the subsequent why the plans that we did this year to borrow the money from the sewer and water system rather than going even further negative.
Kevin, can you speak up for...
Do you mind coming to the podium? Sorry. Actually, the microphone's over here. Sorry. Either way.
So the plan is essentially was approved last year. There's no change. Once you have a deficit, you only have 5 years to eliminate the deficit. So this is just the 4 years that are remaining to reduce that deficit. But it was the same scenario as the sewer and water loans. They paid the money up front for the special assessment, and over the next 10 years, as people pay their special assessments, that money would replenish the amount spent in the road fund.
But we're required to submit this to the.
Required to do it every year until the deficit is gone. And when you, like I said, when you first started it, you only have 5 years, and it has to be eliminated within that 5 years. So we set up the special assessment to collect that money within the 5-year time limit. So this is just another, every year we have to renew this. It just gets shorter and shorter. Last year's was a 5-year. This is only 4 years because it's going out the next 4 years.
So a motion would be in order to approve the resolution for the multiple year deficit elimination plan to submit to the state.
Anderson moves that we approve the debt elimination plan as presented for submission to the state.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Any further questions? No? Thanks for doing the work on that. Madam Clerk, roll call please on the resolution, approving the resolution.
So Trustee Fabdahl?
Yes.
Trustee Vert?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
And Clerk Triplett, yes.
That passes. Thank you, Kevin. We're on to action item B. It's just the first reading of to amend the emergency cost recovery ordinance. You have that before you, and we'll consider this the first reading, and the second reading and vote will come at the August 16th meeting. Is it August 16th? 15th? We have one meeting in August. Due to the election, we will not have our first Monday meeting in August. The meeting will be August 15th, so this will be read at the second, or comes to the board for a second reading, and then also a vote. Yes.
Madam Supervisor, I don't want to put Chief Beckley on the spot, but is it but?
I like that
I know we talked a little bit about some of the major changes, and I know there were a couple things. Can you highlight those things for us? This is a lot of reading, but I know.
Yes. So basically, what this is what we're going to, what the board has proposed to eliminate here are a couple of exemptions for emergency response cost recovery for taxpayers in the township. This would allow the fire department to bill insurance companies and potentially, even non-insured people from vehicle accidents, fires, things like that the township incurs the costs on those items. Very similarly to what we already do for non-residents of the township. Most insurance policies have these fees already built into them, like we had discussed earlier. And this is just another way that the fire department can try to recoup some of those costs of apparatus and personnel, equipment, those kind of things.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty. So we'll move on to action item C, is the final reading of the Chapter 14 zoning ordinance. Ms. Tucker, you've been working on this a long time.
Yeah.
Very long time.
Yeah, a couple of years. But we did last year when the town planning commission finalized the master plan, and it was approved by this body. Then we moved forward with creating the zoning ordinance. We worked with Roe and also worked with Dennis Miller in the building department and finalized the zoning ordinance to come in compliance with the master plan that we had created. When the zoning ordinance was finalized, or at least a draft of it was done, the planning commission held public hearings that were posted, and people were able to come and make comment. They did approve it, and so now you have before you the new zoning ordinance and the new map that would need to be approved at this point. And then what would happen from here, since this is the final reading, is this will be published, if it passes this evening, would be published this Thursday, and then it would actually go into effect within 7 days of when it's published, just like any other ordinance.
So it was it a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission to recommend we approve this?
Yes.
And Dennis has reviewed this, and I know you've worked on it with Row Engineering. Would someone like to make the motion to approve the amendments to the zoning ordinance? Do I have to read Chapter 14? ordinance?
No, they can see the resolution is there. It's just that an ordinance to adopt the new zoning ordinance, Chapter 14 of the Flint Charter Township Code of Ordinances. And if you adopt this resolution that's here, it would adopt the new ordinance that has all the amendments in it.
Anderson moves that we adopt the new zoning ordinance as presented to us from the Planning Commission.
Support. Are there any questions or discussion? Trying to get to the end of this. 1 second. Should we cover everything? Okay. So, no discussion? This took a long time, thank you. It was a lot of work, and I know Ro put a lot into it, too. I'm glad we're done.
Second?
Yes.
I think it was Carol.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
So, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the zoning ordinance resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. Action item D, we have a request to the Road Commission for a permit to temporarily close the Fleckenstein and Norco intersection. You guys have that in front of you? Yes, it's for National Night Out. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Fleckenstein and Norco roads for National Night Out.
So we have a motion to approve the resolution to close the county road for National Night Out as presented. Is there a second to the motion?
A second.
Any further discussion? Didn't think so. All those in favor of approving the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That stands approved. Action item E is the agreement from Genesee County Drain Commission, Division of Water and Waste for fire hydrant maintenance. So it's pretty brief. County maintains all of our lines, our water lines, our sewer lines, and this would be an amendment to add to the maintenance of our 1,236 hydrants. I know that as you've become fire chief, you've done a audit to see which hydrants need to be replaced.
That's correct.
And they're more than halfway through that list, right?
Yes.
In replacement. And so this is yearly maintenance, which includes flowing and winterizing
That's correct, yes.
at a cost of $35 per hydrant. It says it's going to increase to $45 next year, and we can give it a try. The CMOM agreement ends the end of 2024, so we can give this a try and see how that works in comparison to the firefighters flowing those hydrants. I know if there's ever an issue with water main breaks, there's always a question of who's responsible and who's paying. So I know that if the county flows the hydrants, the county will pay for all water main break repairs. And once, if you read, we have an initial list of any hydrants that will need to be replaced, which I think should be a short list since we're addressing those now. Once that's done, the county will pay for all repair and maintenance after that with this contract. So a motion would be in order to approve the amendment to our contract and approve this agreement for hydrant maintenance at a cost of $35 per hydrant.
I'll make a motion that we move forward for the agreement for the fire hydrant maintenance with the Genesee County Drain Commission at $35 per hydrant.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second it.
Any further discussion or questions?
I have a question. Just on that total amount that I saw there, how does that come into play? Is that how much it's going to, the total after the $35 a hydrant? I saw a big number in there.
43,000,
Yeah,
yes.
260.
That will be charged to the water department because that's part of the water system.
Is it 43 plus $35?
No, that's it.
That's the total. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah. And you'll notice at the end, because I wanted to make sure it didn't go past the year 2024, and I'd give it that long, a year and a half, right, to see if it's working?
Yes.
Because basically you only flow the hydrants August through October, maybe?
Yeah, so we go out in the springtime and we clear any tree branches, limbs, tall grass, things like that to make them accessible. We will continue to do that at least once, if not 2 times a year, to make sure that our fire hydrants are always accessible. What this is the actual fall hydrant maintenance, flowing, pumping, repairs. Also painting of the hydrants. So this is usually done by the firefighters 1st of September through when we get them done. Sometimes it's November, sometimes it's end of December, just depending on how long that takes. So this is basically replacing that fall maintenance.
Kind of a silly question. Who determines what color the hydrants will be? Because I've seen them different colors in different places.
Good question. I believe here it's the county. I believe.
All right.
I'll have to get you that for sure.
Just curious. I've seen
The caps-
like lime green ones.
So,
I've seen blue ones.
The caps here do indicate the water main size. So the different color caps indicate to us how big of a water main we have underneath the ground to help us determine the water flow, things like that. So they do have a rhyme or reason behind it, and usually it's a highly visible color, so we can see them at night, at nighttime and those kind of things. So, but the caps do mean things. So the different colors, do tell us the water mains and potential of water flow. So.
Okay. Any other questions? No? We have a motion and a second to approve the agreement with the county for fire hydrant maintenance. It would be, I just want to make sure it's $35 per hydrant, but in the year 2023, it goes up to $45 per hydrant. So can you do a roll call vote, please? Sure.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Fabdahl?
Yes.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Action item F is, I'll turn it over to you, Chief Salter.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'll start out by saying this will not come, the funding, if approved, will not come from a general fund or public safety millage. So I'm requesting the board to authorize the purchase of 2022 Chevy Tahoe for patrol use. This will be used to replace one Tahoe with a blown engine and another Tahoe that has high mileage and high hours. The total cost is $49,991. That price includes a 2022 Chevy Tahoe purchased from Berger Chevrolet using the state bid for $40,183. $9,388 will be used for upfitting the Tahoe from a Flint Township business, Procom Incorporated. And $420 will be used for the graphics and lettering from another Flint Township business, LMB Designs. The funds from this purchase will not come out of the general fund or public safety millage. I would like to use $26,500 from the 2019 Justice Assistance Grant, or JAG, and the remaining $23,491 from forfeiture money received when we had an officer assigned to the Genesee County Sheriff's Department posse over 10 years ago.
So a motion is in order to move forward?
Just one question. When are you anticipating getting this vehicle?
Rather soon, ma'am. They have them right there in stock right now, actually.
I guess my concern was we're going to put Flint Township on it, and we're kind of doing the name change.
Well, we don't know if we're doing that.
No, but I mean, it's up in the air, so I'm hoping the name change gets settled before we get the name on it, so we don't, if it does change, waste money.
So, if there's no other questions, would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make the motion that we would move forward with the purchase of a 2022 Chevrolet Tahoe to be for the police department with funds outlined from different grants.
I'll second it.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on, the purchase of a Tahoe in the amount of $49,991, coming from $26,500 coming from the JAG grant,
Right.
and the remaining cost coming from the forfeiture from Posse. So, roll call please.
Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Trustee Fabdahl?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Campbell?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Action item G, Madam Clerk.
Yes. So we are looking to hire a level 1 in the clerk's department for elections and for the clerk's department in general, not just elections, but we do have a presidential election this year. And so far, we just have one individual that is actually full-time there. So we're actually looking for help for that individual. So we're looking to hire clerical one
Is that your
for
motion?
the clerk. That is my motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any questions or discussion?
Yes. Of course, I'm not going to support this. I've talked about this for a long time.
But you laid off an employee because of the budget.
I laid off someone?
No, there was an
Oh.
employee laid off because of budget. But we're going to hire an employee with a budget that's even less. So, and also, it is busy now in the clerk's department. It's going to be busy in November, but after that, it will not. What?
I was trying to find out who got laid off. I didn't realize. She just shared with me.
So, anyways, I'm a no. I just wanted to state that.
Thank you.
Any discussion on this end?
So you're looking at a full-time person?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would like to add, this position was approved by this board, I don't know, several months ago. It was a level 3 at that particular time. And the individual that we interviewed came with some experiences that we were going to be able to cross-train and use in other areas. She was a no-show, no-call, no-show. So we're still at this point of trying to fill this position. We've lowered the position from a level 3 to a level 1 because we do feel that there is a need for some backup to this individual. Right now, we're kind of left vulnerable when you only have one person that's working in the clerk's department that has no backup if something were to happen. So this individual will also be cross-trained in some areas. We're starting her out at a lower level, and we'll see what happens and where we'll be able to get her trained and move at that particular time. So I did want to add that this is not a brand new position. It's one that we had already approved. Not saying that you voted that way, but we had approved this position, and it's the same position.
Thank you, Lisa.
Anything on this end? No? So
Go ahead.
you go right ahead.
So what I'm trying to figure out is that the last person that was interviewed for that job was certainly a utility employee, 100%. I'm talking from billing, sewer and water, you name it, she could do it. And that didn't happen. Okay, she didn't show her for whatever reason. But that doesn't mean that that position's open again for whoever you want to place in there. You have to start over again.
The position will be
That
posted.
was-
It's going to be posted.
We're starting over because it's a whole different level. That level was a level 3. We're taking this down
I know,
to level
but you
1.
said that the position is open, and I understand that, but it's full-time, and there's not going to be full-time work after November.
I don't know.
There's not going to be any. Well, I've been here long enough to see when there's work and when there's not.
Have you worked in the clerk's department, though?
No, but I'm
So you
here
just
all
observed.
the time. I offered to help and everything. So yes, I'm very much aware of how that place works.
I would
I'm
like
just
for you to
stating
come-
my opinion.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay? But don't say that this lady that before, it has nothing to do with that. And that you can have more part-time help, but a full-time, I don't understand.
So I checked the budget today, and if I know this board will recall because there was a lot of discussion when the previous clerk was here, and for a year she requested to have a second full-time position between. I think this person who's temporary full-time now is working in elections, correct?
Correct.
So the budget that we passed for this year, 2022, has money in it for the part-time line. Under part-time is $35,000, so that would get you 2 part-time positions. And the clerk's department has, I forgot what it was, $20,000, $24,000. It's in my.
Let me grab it.
No, it's all right. But that was under part-time. So there's money for 3 part-time people to be hired. My concern is we have an audit that tells us you better watch your spending. And I know you need the help and you can hire more people, but when you hire a full-time person, you are committing to give them health care and retirement until the day they die. And she's really young. And I'm not saying that that's particularly her. I know you're going to post a position and then you have to do the interviews and the testing. But I'm not in favor of hiring another full-time clerical right now. I know she works hard. I know the girl in, there right now is working 35 hours, and you still have enough money to hire maybe one, maybe two more people. But I'm not, I disagreed with hiring a year ago when we took a lot of heat for that. And that's my position still, that we don't need a second full-time person in there. You and I spent time redoing the job descriptions for the one that is in there, eliminating that second position. So I'm not in support of this. You've made a motion. Who seconded the motion? Was that you?
April.
Can you do the roll call vote, please? Sure. Unless anyone else has anything to say.
I'd be much more in favor of a part-time person, too.
Roll call.
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
No.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Favdahl?
Yes.
Trustee Vert?
No.
Trustee Campbell?
No.
Clerk Triplett, yes.
Is that 3-3? That means that the motion is defeated. Announcements. I made the announcement that our one and only meeting for next month will be August 15th. And if there's no further business and if there's no objection, we'll call the meeting adjourned.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. At work or at play, you're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Oh, hey. She's cute. Nice going, man. Things are going great for you. You've earned a night out. Good drinks, good friends. Yeah, we can go ahead and call this a good night. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Not smart. Yeah, I saw that coming. Say goodbye to her. Ouch, that'll hurt your bank account. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. I hope you like eating frozen dinners. Alone. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.